Karim Sahyoun, welcome to the podcast.
Good morning.
Man, this is long overdue.
Yeah, I can't think of a better thing to do.
Absolutely. You have a ghost that lives on your computer, and her name is Clarice. Tell us about Clarice.
Oh my goodness. I got the bug, the OpenClaw bug. It, of course, started at CloudBot, and then they renamed it to Maltbot, and now it's called OpenClaw. And it's this new AI agent that a guy called Peter Steinberger, who's Austrian, came up with. And it fascinated me because obviously we've been talking about agentic AI for a while, haven't we? And I've used various agent platforms like Manus and others. Manus recently acquired by Meta, by the way. And it was interesting. And I thought, let me find out. Now, I'm not a coder, but apparently you can use ChatGPT to guide you. So everyone was talking about doing it on a Mac Mini. I wasn't ready for that, to buy a new Mac. I had an old Mac laptop, so I thought, and it was clean. Because the main concern that we had heard when people started to use it was security. So I really wanted to okay, how do I make it secure? And how do I take a phased, careful approach to installing it? And by limiting the number of skills, by asking ChatGPT, prompting it properly about security, I opted. First, I tried on the Mac. The Mac was too old. The operating system couldn't handle certain things. So I went with an older, a less old PC laptop, and I created a VPS within Windows Home.
Okay.
And then I installed it in there. All with the help of ChatGPT, terminal, coding commands that I've never heard of before.
Yeah.
Where I was just copying, pasting from ChatGPT, pasting into the terminal. I was basically installing it. And because OpenClaw is open source,
Yes.
And even though OpenAI has now kind of absorbed OpenClaw, it's still open source on their foundation.
Before we teach people how to replicate this exciting thing that you've done, just share with us the results. What can Clarice do today? How you communicate with her? What does she do for you?
I think Clarice could do many, many things, but I've opted to go with a very basic setup.
Yes.
So that I could really test it out, and so that I don't make any mistakes, share personal stuff that ends up being all over the internet, or so I didn't give her an email access, even though some people have come up with a framework it's called draft first, where even if you would ask it to create an email, it would go into the draft folder. I haven't done that yet. So my setup is very basic. It's got a web search API. It's got an AI engine API. And it has, I've opted for the x.com API so that I can have her retweets. And right now, I consider Clarice to be my executive assistant.
Awesome.
Okay, executive assistant or chief of staff.
Love it.
Even more interesting. And the morning briefing is fantastic because if you think about how we wake up and our user journey when we wake up, we'll turn on YouTube or we'll watch some news.
Or Twitter.
And we rely on the algorithms of all these companies to bring back things that they think is interesting for us. Clarice has my guidelines and my request for what to research. And at 7 a.m., it generates a morning briefing organized by topic.
Awesome.
With some links and some tweets that I should look at.
Beautiful.
So an executive assistant. Now, I still have the other AI tools because I haven't activated all the tooling on Clarice. I'm still using the others. But I believe eventually I'll be able to kind of make Clarice, give Clarice more work.
Awesome.
Yeah. And
you communicate with her using Telegram, using WhatsApp. How do you communicate?
So there are several options. I opted for the one that I'm most comfortable with because I think WhatsApp, you might need a phone number. I didn't even try. So I'm using Telegram. But after listening to Velvet Shark, I might opt for Discord in the future because of the ability of, instead of having one linear long chat, with Discord, you're able to organize your chats by topic.
Amazing.
So I'm probably going to migrate to the Discord, but still Still haven't fully decided.
So the current setup is you have this AI agent that lives on an older laptop of yours, and the difference between it and any one of our audience using ChatGPT or Claude on the web, the difference is this AI agent lives on your computer. It can access a file system. It can create a folder here and there. It can move files and edit files and work with a mouse and a computer and a keyboard like a human would do, or like a ghost would do. But in addition to this, it also has, or she also has, an access to the web. So she can open a browser, browse different websites. She has an access to Twitter, X, and she can read posts and can she make posts?
I'm not sure. I haven't tried yet.
Yeah.
I think a lot of platforms are kind of blocking automated postings.
Okay, for a good reason.
And we can talk about another platform I'm using for content marketing.
Yes.
For content creation and digital marketing. But I think the way to look at it is, yes, you've described it really well. It's an agent that has access to a PC, and it already has in its soul, and soul.md is one of the files that you kind of have on OpenClaw, a personality and how it behaves and so forth, and also a way of how you want it to behave.
Nice.
It also has a whole slew of skills that you could activate. And we're talking about, I don't know, tens of skills, maybe over 50 skills, and it's growing. Because it's an open source project, these skills are being added continuously.
Amazing.
And Peter, the founder, the creator, I think is continuously going through all these pull requests. So the way to think of Clarice or an OpenClaw agent, first of all, your data's there, you control it better. You have access to the memory, you have access to all the files, and the data doesn't necessarily leave your laptop. So even if you're using OpenAI as an AI agent, or I'm using Together.ai, which is a distributed GPU AI platform, which is less expensive, it just sends out just a bit of information to get a response from the AI, but most of the data stays on the PC. So this is something that's comforting as well in terms of data security or sovereignty or confidentiality. And the fact that it's there, it's living continuously, and I have access to her on my phone, is quite interesting.
Absolutely. It's a paradigm shift. Let's just step back a little bit and share with our audience, how did we get here? I mean, you touched upon it in your opening, but if you live on AI Twitter like we do, since November, the entire ecosystem was buzzing about Claude Code from Anthropic. The first time an agent gives people the feeling of the AGI, and that was going for many weeks and still going till today. But in the past 4 weeks, Cloud bot, that is pronounced CLAWD, not CLAUDE, okay, built by Peter Steinberger, has taken over the internet. How did we get, I mean, can you explain to our audience Claude Code, then Claude bot, then where we are today?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. There's a couple of themes that I'm kind of thinking about there in that process. So first, from the naming perspective, he called it Claude Bot.
Yes.
He got a...
Cheeky name.
Yeah, he got a... I don't know. Well, claw, with the claw means like a lobster. Or lobster. He got a cease letter from Anthropic.
Yeah.
He then changed to Maltbot.
Yeah.
Didn't like it and stay there for long. And then he opted for OpenClaw, which seems to be the name that stuck. So this is the first thing. It's an open source project. The code is open, available for anyone to download. And you just open any AI chat window and you're able to know what to vibe code your way into installing it, depending on your setup, right? So that's been a huge, that's a change maker for me. the fact that I don't code, and now I'm able to go and just vibe code my way into a very complex installation that is optimized for the level of security that I'm comfortable with.
Nice.
But it made me think of something, and this morning, I mentioned to you that I discovered Velvet Shark, who's an OpenClaw user who did a great video today, and we can share the links in the description for our users, because it's really a very good one. Because there's many, by the way. My Twitter and my YouTube is just full of OpenClaw posts, content, and then you get lost.
So you need to filter that.
You need to filter. Is this idea of what I call, and maybe we discussed it last time we were together, is this idea of hyper-customization or personalization, where instead of it being an algorithm that's designed for the world, I can kind of have that ability to customize to my wants and needs. So we've shifted, and I think we're getting closer towards this hyper-customization, where it's almost like as you're watching a screen in a dentist, it recognizes who you are. It's absurd, right? But it recognizes who you are and personalizes an ad just for you.
Crazy.
Right? We're getting there. That's a bit scary. It's a bit dystopic. But I think we're getting there in terms of our needs. And, I think, from it as being a digital transformation consultant, it's always this idea that how can I make the software work for me, right? So we're getting there, and this open source project that some people are saying, people like JCal from All In, declared it as one of the most seismic moments, let's say, since OpenAI went public 3 years ago, right? Where OpenClaw has really taken all this work that's been done, and it's turned it a bit upside down in a way, and flipped it over a few times, and suddenly there's this new way of working and using it. And possibly, I have concerns about this. All these data centers that are being built and all this AI power that's being invested in, maybe it's causing them to pause and think. I've heard there's a lot of AI data centers projects that are being paused right now.
Let's talk about data centers later, because you said so many important things that I want to highlight. First, you said you're vibe coding your way into things, which reminds me about what Andrei Karpathy said back in 2023. The hottest new programming language is English. You don't need to be a developer or a coder to be able to create simple apps or micro apps. If you've never tried coding in your life, this is the time to try coding, right? And to learn coding. It's never been easier to learn coding or to communicate with these AI tools in a human language and get code on the other hand. I mean, there are kids who are working on lovable.dev, on Claude Chat, on ChatGPT, Gemini, etc. But you also said another super important thing, which is the OpenClaw moment. We've had the ChatGPT moment, November 30th, 2022, when ChatGPT 3 or 3.5 made the biggest splash probably in the history of
100 million users in 30 days
Crazy,
or something.
The fastest ever. And now we have another moment, the OpenClaw moment. And what I was thinking about for the past 4 weeks since I was watching this frenzy is, why did it take for some random guy sitting somewhere in the world to do it? All the ingredients were there to build this recipe, right? And you have some of the smartest people in the world working for Anthropic and OpenAI and Google, Gemini, and others. Why did it take until this random dude put all these ingredients together and created this magic? I mean, the tagline on his website says, OpenClaw, an AI that actually does stuff. Why do you think that happened?
I don't think it's a random dude.
He's a veteran coder, but
veteran coder, and he's earned quite a bit of money in his life. He's successful, so I think it was a passion project. And the fact that he made it open source and managed to, in spite of the influence of the people that were courting him, including think it was Meta. So he talked about, on a podcast, he talked about Meta, Mark Zuckerberg trying to woo him over. Finally, he went with Sam Altman. Is this idea of open source. He really wanted to keep it as an open source. So all the work that he's put in, thousands of hours, I'm sure, that he's put into this, it's taken quite a bit of thinking and work for him to get where he got. I don't think it was sudden. And I think he really wanted to keep it open source. And open source software, open source project like this will allow it to evolve in the public domain with people jumping in at any time and making suggested changes. Whereas a ring-fence project in a company, for-profit company with stock, with IP rights, operates differently.
Yes.
So I think that's a major thing, and I think he's kind of held his line by keeping it open source, and it is a special moment. Now there is a difference between this and ChatGPT. Yes, it's seismic, it's fundamental, it's going to change things, but the barrier to entry is different. However, I'm not that technical. I just took some time, and because I work in the domain, I felt that, yeah, why not me? And I took it and I installed it. So you don't need to be that technical, but you still need to have some skills. And it's not going to have the same adoption rate. And by the way, how many people do you know that have installed it?
Oh, very few.
Yeah.
You have to be really passionate about this to actually take the time to install a ghost on your.
I have yet to meet one person in my network who's installed it. Now, maybe my network isn't that technical, but still.
But you're right. I mean, we always talk about this, the gap between the state of technology today and the speed it's growing at, and what the users and the public market knows. Yeah, I mean, you know that I do a lot of AI masterclasses and training, and over the past 3 years, I've been trying to take users and employees and CXOs from this level of AI usage to this level. But the current state of AI is this level. Okay, let's unpack this to people. Most AI users today are still using ChatGPT as an email writing tool or as a search engine, which is, scratching the surface. And when we go and train them, we're trying to take them from here to here, which is, we want you to learn prompt engineering. We want you to use the thinking mode. We want you to analyze massive Excel sheets with AI. We will teach you how to use deep research. We will teach you how to ideate with AI, use voice mode, use screen sharing. But the actual state of the technology with Claude Code and OpenClaw is even beyond that. So how do you think, in your opinion, what is the best approach? Should we keep this gradual way of educating people? Let's bring them here first, and then we see what to do. Or should we just leapfrog the old web chatbots and start teaching people on agents like Clarice?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. And obviously, you know that, in my domain as well, I'm constantly coaching, guiding people to use technology in the right way and how to get that barrier, how to get the right approach. In the end, it is a mindset. And I think the value in your work is really about changing the mindset, showing them that it's, like with Layla, the example you use when you talk, it just makes it so user-friendly, right? So obviously our job is to show that it's easy to use, but then how do we then implement it at a business level, at an enterprise level, really thinking about that. And what I find is that, and for me, it's an ongoing process, a learning process, is that OpenClaw has given me more control over the architecture of the information. So a lot of us have created folders on our ChatGPT and where we store these conversations. But how much of these conversations are in the memory, and how does, and the term that I picked up today is this idea of context pollution comes in, where have you polluted your chat or your AI with so much stuff that when you wanted to extract something that's really important, it can't find it because it's polluted with simple requests. So I try to be mindful and use temporary chats when I don't want it to.
Yes.
When I don't want it to store it. But I think OpenClaw is giving me ideas on how to structure it better so that I'm able to track various threads, various projects, folders, businesses, and keep them separate so that my AI works for me. And it brings us back to that idea of hyper-customization or hyper-personalization, where how do we make, in the end, I think our role is how do we make it work for people?
Yes.
How do we make it work for people with context?
Yes.
Context is king.
Context is king. And listen, you've said so many valuable things here. So let's just unpack them for even non-technical audience, right? So we want our audience to understand that the responses of your AI and the work of your AI is a function of how good the context you give it. And it's in its most simple form, the context is the conversation that is open in front of you on the chat window when you're talking to ChatGPT. So if you write a prompt and you send it and you get an answer, and then you write a second prompt, the context is not only the second prompt, the context is the second prompt plus the previous prompt and the previous answer to the previous prompt.
In principle, but it turns out it's not, right?
Yeah, we will start from the basics, and then I'm going to ask you about the optimization that you mentioned. So that's the context, and the longer your conversation goes, the longer this context window grows. And it's a double-edged sword here, because yes, bigger context means your AI knows more nuance, but also beyond a certain size of context, AI starts dropping some important information. So the first attempt to solve this was custom instructions. You go to the back office of your ChatGPT app and you click on personalization, custom instruction, and you write some instructions there or some context that you always wanted to be part of any conversation. That was the first attempt at solving it. The second attempt was custom GPTs in ChatGPT or gems in Google Gemini. You create instances of these chatbots, each one having their own fixed custom instructions, and this way you can have a custom GPT doing finance, a custom GPT doing legal work, a custom GPT doing any repetitive task with the same custom instruction. Okay, so people are coming up with various ways to do this. And then obviously people started doing the memory function. Again, go to ChatGPT in the back end, click on personalization, scroll down and click on memory. You will see what the AI learned about you on his or her own, took note about what he or she learned from their interaction with you. This kept going for the past 3 years, but it hit a problem. The longer this memory is, the longer this context is, AI started losing the plot. So we started seeing this problem that you described eloquently as context pollution. Okay, and now you're seeing some clever people trying to solve context pollution. So tell us about what is it called, Velvet?
Oh, so Velvet Shark is someone that's on YouTube. Yeah, he's on YouTube.
How is he trying to solve context?
So he's basically using context architecture. So by instead of using Telegram, he's using Discord. Discord is non-linear chat where you can have folders and you can split your discussion into various topics. Okay. I think that's one thing. And I think that by downloading, so obviously these AI tools are optimized to save on memory.
Yes.
So they're continuously compressing, and that's where you get some context loss, right? And how does the AI choose what to lose and what to keep? So to avoid that, he's now created a mechanism in OpenClaw to download the text files and save them on a daily basis.
On the local machine?
On the local machine, using a tool called Obsidian, which is a note-taking software.
Okay.
And that way he preserves the integrity of his knowledge. Because as we move into this crazy world that is kind of just developing in front of us and scaring so many people with AI, and everybody's thinking about loss of jobs and disruptions and chaos, we need to be able to develop our skills and be, one day be an architect, one day be a builder, one day be a father, and it's by learning, right? Learning and researching and building our own kind of hacks. So organizing these thoughts and what we've done, and there's a couple of things, like if you're sitting down with friends and you're trying to recall something, what did we do last March? Where did we go? Where did we travel? So someone might open their photos and look for the date, right? So that's one way. And so we want to go back to all this information, all this data that we've created, and we expect it to be accurate.
Yes.
So I think that's important. So people are using it almost like a diary or as a tool to trace back what they've done. And I encourage everyone to do that from time to time. Go back and look at what you've written. Yeah. You'll be surprised. If you read something that you've written or a chat that you've had a few years ago, you might not even recognize yourself, right? Because we evolve. We're evolving beings. And so organizing those thoughts and how do we use them, and being sure that they're accurate. So I'm concerned about that. So I want to organize and architect that information in OpenClaw.
Yeah.
And I've done it on ChatGPT, but I'm concerned that maybe it's not going to be as good as I thought it was, right? The other issue, I think, is, this idea that we rely on so many algorithms around us. So are we going to be able to create our own algorithms? Which, in fact, my daily briefing created by Clarice is my algorithm.
Your morning brew.
My morning.
Hyper-personalized for you. So tell me about this lovable.dev story.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about context pollution, right? And there's this idea that, we wanted to go back to find out where we were at a certain date. And we went back to our photos and we used the date to search for it. So search is really important. But the other one that I faced with AI, and I don't know if anyone's thought about it, or I'm sure, but if anyone's thought about how to fix it, is we're tinkering around with lovable.dev. I was actually with my colleague, and I was showing it to him, and we built his website in 5 minutes. And then, if you actually regenerate, or if you like the design and you don't save it somehow, you will not get the same design again.
Yeah. It's not deterministic. It's very stochastic.
Yeah. So I think that's an issue that somebody should resolve at some time by allowing us to record things, even when we're chatting, right? So I think what Velvet Shark's done by downloading, by backing up and downloading all these conversations and storing them, he's helping find that, at least somehow reduce the variability, maybe.
Yeah, but now, I mean, to be clear, if I'm building a website or an app or a web page on ChatGPT, on Gemini, on Claude, the normal Claude.ai on the internet, and I get an HTML file that is my website, I can always go back to it. I mean, the HTML file is there. I can download it on my PC and run it, or I can go back to it in the chat history or in whichever folder or project I saved it in. So what you're saying is, when you're working with Lovable and you got a design, you weren't able to go back in history and fetch that design?
And maybe it's there because I've had issues with images. I'm not very good at images. And when you have a picture that it generated by an AI, how do you capture it to make sure that you don't lose it? Because if you ever want to go back to it, where is it stored?
Yes.
Now, if it's a website, it might be in an HTML. But if it's not, if it's just in a chat.
Yes. So chat services are trying to solve this by adding this feature called My Stuff or my library. In ChatGPT, it's called my library, and in Google, it's called my stuff. And it shows you the previous images you created. When it comes to websites, yes, I always recommend that you either store them when you create a website with these chatbots, store them in a project or a folder. It will be easier to find later. Yeah, start doing some organization around your working with your chat assistant or with your generative AI assistant.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think there has to be a method. Otherwise, you can just get crazy, right? The amount of information. And what's funny is we've gone from doom scrolling to now doom AI chatbotting. Like it feels like we used to do endless scrolling and kilometers with our fingers of scrolling on our phones, and now we find ourselves building all these projects.
Yeah,
and there's so many. Where do you begin? Where do you start? Where do you work?
Yeah. But let me push back on that. This is the opposite of doom scrolling. Doom scrolling makes our brains lazy, and we're just passively ingesting these images and videos while we scroll through stories. These AI assistants are actually engaging my brain every time I ask for a project or a prompt, and I keep going back and forth and back and forth, and I'm excited, man. I mean, let me just share something that I've done over the weekend that doesn't even need the technical setup that you did with OpenClaw. So I downloaded the Claude desktop app, and you can download it. Anyone who has a Claude subscription is just $20 a month. Go and download the Claude desktop app, and in it you'll find 3 tabs: Chat, Cowork, and Code. Chat is your standard day-to-day chatting assistant. Cowork is the one I want you to try, the second one. The third one is Code. That's a little bit more for coders and developers. But go to Cowork, and now, without even writing any line of code, just choose a folder, point it at a folder, and ask it to extract the information from the files in this folder and summarize them for you. You will be amazed. Here's exactly what I've done. I copied all 114 invoices from the previous year to a separate folder. So I didn't point my agent to the main accounting folder. I just made copies just in case something goes wrong. And I put them in a new folder. And I said, go to this folder, read all the invoices, and give me a table listing them all chronologically, date, amount, customer, VAT calculation separately. And in less than 7 minutes, I had a table. He extracted every single information from every single PDF. Invoices are PDF, right? Or Excels. And they are in different formats, in different languages sometimes. And boom, 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 I have a table in 7-8 minutes. I mean, just imagine the world we're living in now.
This is a very, very important use case. Personal finance. We know that's
company finance, not personal finance.
No, I know, but I want to talk about personal finance, and I think some banks had been offering it to their users through the banking app.
Yes,
they were saying, for your salary, we know your salary, you should be paying, this much in rent, or we've seen that you've spent so much at restaurants. So we're going to flag it. Normally for your salary or for your, category, you should be spending X percentage. So kind of personal finance advisor.
Yes.
So I've been trying to get that to work on because our banks here haven't seemed to in the region haven't done that yet, as far as I know. To do it with OpenAI, and I struggled. I would upload the credit card statement as a PDF, and ChatGPT was just unable to. It was continuously losing. So it was losing the thread and losing data, and even though it calculates well, it kept missing some expenses, some transactions. And then I discovered that Google Gemini did it better. So I started to use that. But I think that this ability to kind of customize our agents to to do what we need.
Yes.
So back to this hyper-customization,
Yes.
really hyper-personalization. I think this is where the real value is. This is where the gold is, let's say. It's that ability to format and configure and adjust these tools to work better for us.
Yes.
And to meet our needs. And a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah.
As I've given you as an example. And, if we're able to customize these platforms, whether it's an open source platform or a typical platform like Claude or Gemini, this is, I think, the goal. And this is what we need to guide and coach people to do so that they can really extract the value. Otherwise, it's just going to be, like somebody said, you install it, you play around with it for a month, and then you get bored and you dump it.
So let's talk about this hyper-personalized future, right? The future is increasingly looking less like an app store where you have all these apps coded by someone else, and then they are general purpose and a large number of people can use it. And we're moving away from that world to a world where you don't need to go to the app store and find an app that does 70% of what you want. You can create it right there with Claude Code, with ChatGPT, with Gemini. You can create as many personalized apps as you want that do exactly what you want.
Yeah, you've raised a big topic. So from a business perspective, SaaS is in trouble. The whole SaaS business model, as being a SaaS company, is in trouble. And that's why they've kind of started to pivot into AI. The big companies like Microsoft and others are really concerned about licenses and the income they get from licenses, because people are moving away from software that is commercial off-the-shelf software. And, as an architect, when we would go into an enterprise or a government agency and advise them on what to do to automate or to digitally transform, we always recommended commercial off-the-shelf, because you weren't just buying the software, you're buying the best practices.
The support.
And the support. But now with Vibe Coding, you're able to get those best practices in. And if you have a team, you're able to kind of design a better solution that is customized for you. So I think this is going to be the hot topic from a business standpoint, from, a stock market standpoint, from anything. So any company that's able to kind of pivot and brings up a point, about cost, we'll discuss it in a second, is this idea that as a company, what do I do? So as a business leader, and you coach these business leaders on how to adopt AI, and I advise them on how to digitally transform their companies, what should they do? What software should they look at? How do they implement vibe coding? Is this something that's secure, And, blockchain comes in for security and transparency and immutability. So the world is changing. The decisions that these leaders have to make are crucial.
Yes.
And we need to make sure that they have that right information to make the right decisions, which brings us to cost.
Yeah.
It's very easy with OpenClaw to blow your credit cards with API calls, because while you're sleeping, your OpenClaw could be spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
So managing that with limits, spending limits on API calls, you can cap it. Make sure you do, because you would be surprised how many API calls your OpenClaw can do. And because you've trained it to take its own initiative, it may decide to go and build you a digital city, and spend a fortune in API calls. And one of the people that I've been following for a long time, as you know, all in podcast.
Yes, Shamat and the
Shamat and J-Cal. So J-Cal, in his channel, he started to he immediately went and implemented. He bought like 4 or 5 Mac Minis, and he built these OpenClaw bots. And at one point, they were spending $300 per day.
Yes, per engineer.
Per
Claude bot.
Per OpenClaw instance, which is, I would say, more expensive than a human, right? So the idea behind it is make sure that you control the costs, and And there is a risk there. You just need to be sure, be mindful of it.
Experimentation era now. It's the phase where people are super excited, and they will experiment and they'll push the envelope and they will see what can they do with agents like OpenClaw, but will quickly learn. I hope before anybody burns their fingers that we need to figure out security and governance before we scale the adoption of these agents.
Yeah, I mean, I was recently at a breakfast that was organized by friends of mine that run a digital marketing agency, and the topic was AI. And I went along, even though I'm spending more time on the blockchain side. And I thought, let me go, because I'm always keen to learn. And this was before OpenClaw. And one of the IT managers of one of the biggest banks said, here we were trying to use AI, trying to vibe code to reduce our Microsoft bill. And then we got the API bill from Microsoft, which was hard to track.
Yeah.
It was huge. It was huge. So how do we make sure that we sensitize or, inform these business leaders to track their costs and to make sure that they don't save money on one side and then blow it completely on the other?
So you talked about advising business leaders and CXOs on their digital transformation strategies. And I want to take a moment to know more about this. So for all the C-suite, for all the leaders, progressive-minded leaders who want to adopt AI into their digital transformation strategy, what are your pointers to them? What are your high-level advices to them, strategic advices to them? How do they bring tools like Cloudbot or OpenClaw to their businesses? Should they bring a tool like OpenClaw to their businesses?
Yeah, I mean, this is the challenge, right? When you have a team, how do you kind of allow them to do things, but at the same time still maintain control over, security and expenses, and also that they don't, stray from the mission, because every company has a mission, right? The advice I give, and this has been the same advice that I've been giving ever since I got into this domain officially in 2015, is take stock of your architecture, your enterprise architecture. What does that mean? Understand your business, your as is. What are the activities in your company, and have it mapped out, have it on a sheet, have it in a repository if you can. And, your data architecture, your systems, your software, your people, your skills, the skills you have on hand, have that. I think that's the number one advice I can give. And the companies that I've worked for do that always. Companies like Digital Catalyst and others, they take stock of the architecture. When you take control of your architecture, you have a holistic view of your enterprise. You're then able to spec out carefully when you add new systems to make sure that it covers everything. And I mean, we could take a simple example. You're a company with a reasonably sized IT department. You have ongoing projects continuously. And you're bringing in a new, analytics platform that, brings that data in usable format and, uses NLP, natural language processing, to develop reports. This is a standard tool that companies do. But if you don't have your full architecture and you don't know that, for example, the CEO had an operation room with a screen, with a dashboard that was designed that cost X hundreds of thousands or X thousands of dollars, and you've gone in and you've implemented that system, but you didn't include that in the scope. Halfway through the project, somebody says, hey, what about that? It becomes a change request. The project now gets much more expensive. So taking stock of your actual architecture, having it in a repository that's not static, ideally, if you have that complexity, so that you can ensure that anything you bring in terms of technology, which is, whether it's AI or other digital platforms, can be implemented safely without cost overruns and for it to deliver digital. In the end, when we say digital, right? And what do we mean? It's not just digital sugarcoating. We're not talking about, a sexy UI and nice buttons and tools. We're really talking about speed.
Yeah, transforming the business, transforming the processes, Yeah.
How fast you can transform as an entity, how fast can you adopt. And listen, this is a discussion on everybody's mind today. We talk about, Chinese EVs. We talk about, obviously, everybody's talking about tariffs and so forth. The ability of factories, this idea of 4.0, Industry 4.0, it's really about speed. How fast can a factory rejig itself to produce a new product? You'd be shocked at how slow it was.
Yes.
Right? To realign the factory, to generate a product. And going back to OpenClaw for a second here, not that we're planning to leave the topic completely. One of the startups that JCal had on his video, and I'll find the link and put it in the video in the description, share it with you so you can put it in the description, is they were able to deliver products in weeks rather than a year.
Absolutely.
Just by using OpenClaw.
Yeah.
So it is about speed, how fast we can deliver and create new products,
Yes.
whether it's software or real products,
Yeah.
right? And that is true digital.
Yes.
And without the architecture, without knowing what you have, it's very hard to
It
do.
all goes back to something akin to Eastern philosophy, right? Know thyself. Know thyself first. It works for philosophical concept. It works for enterprise architecture as well. So that's very valuable, Karim. I mean, your advices to corporate leaders and massive companies on how to transform even at that scale. But let's look at the opposite end of the spectrum, the startups. I mean, here in Dubai, in the UAE, this is where the builders are living. The builders are coming from all over the world, talented people to build in Dubai, and they're creating startups, and the excitement is something I've never seen before in the previous 20 years. What's your advice to founders, to entrepreneurs, because I know you advise to startups as well, on how to use these exciting tools like OpenClaw, like Claude Code, like all of these AI tools in their startups?
Very, very, some very, very important advice that I share, and it's not really about tech. Your time. Your time is your most precious commodity. So how you use your time as a founder is critical. That's one. Two, in the frenzy that you described, it gets really, very busy. Meetings, call to call to call to call. Carve out time, put it in your calendar to do deep work. If you don't do that, if you don't have that time where your mind can stray a little bit and be creative, you're not going to get any creativity. You're just going to become an operating machine, and you're going to lose that creative edge. And as a founder, that's deadly.
Absolutely.
And the third is track your knowledge, learning tracks, which we covered earlier. Make sure that you take the time. A lot of people that I talk to say, I don't have the time. And if you don't have the time, that might be your death. That might be the death of your business. So how do you, as an operating startup or even a small, medium-sized or even large company, make sure that you have enough time to carve out space for you to innovate? If you don't do that, you're going to be in trouble.
Awesome. Very valuable. And what about having AI employees? I keep talking to my friend Abbas, who we're gonna host on the podcast soon when he visits Dubai, and he is running a startup with 6 employees. One of them is human, and everyone else is our AI agents. So you currently have a chief of staff, Clarice, but you're working with her on your personal tasks. Could you see Clarice being a chief of staff of your company or one of your ventures?
I'm currently using a platform that has 12 agents. It's called Sintra. Sintra.ai.
Okay. Tell me more about it.
Sintra.ai. And it's doing the content marketing for my small side gig where I make gym bags since 16 years called UnFit.
Amazing.
Yeah. So Sintra has allowed me to create a content calendar. It creates the posts. I approve them. And it's been posting for me automatically on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, and even on TikTok.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that's been running. It's an experiment I've been running. I paid for the year. It wasn't much. And I have these agents, and they're continuously interacting with me, asking questions.
Yes.
And the brain, so Sintra has a brain function.
Like a supervisor agent.
Yeah, a supervisor agent that continuously learns about your business and asks questions. And then the agents themselves, because there's a BD agent and an SEO agent, and there's 12 of them, and I'm not using them all optimally. And there's one that responds to comments and so forth. But the social media one, has been the one that I've been using. But for me, the return on investment has been amazing. So what I paid for the year has already come back in sales. And the fact that now my social media is done continuously, and every week I spend some time approving the posts, optimizing them, maybe changing some of the images. The language of the post is perfect. It's optimized for each platform. So the Facebook and the Instagram have the hashtags. The LinkedIn is more business-like. And then I'm able to create new themes for content and then select them.
So wait, let's start. How do you start this? Do you decide that you want 12 agents with the division of labor that you described? Or do you talk to the brain or the supervisor agent and he or she decides how many worker agents needs to be spawned?
This platform, which is it's created by a company called PlayOS. It's a gamified platform. Really interesting. The agents look like cartoon characters.
Nice.
Visi is the one, is a virtual assistant that now attends some of our calls. And takes notes. And these agents are all available to you in the package. I'm pretty sure that's a standard package. And until you activate them, they won't be useful. So in the end, they're there. Some of them might try to prompt you and ask you for stuff to learn more about your business or to see if they can help. But the only one that is really fully integrated so far is the social media one, because the social media one is the one that can post. The others, like the BD, will not go and make sales calls for you. He or she will write letters or make suggestions. So it's an interesting platform. I'm really happy with it so far.
And then how long did it take the Soshi to learn your key differentiators, your key messages for the gym bag business?
It was quite quick, to be honest, because the questions...
Did you coach her personally, or did you just point her at some folder and you say, go read this or go read our website?
So I had to upload pictures. It generates some pictures on its own as well. Some of them are really good. Some of them don't work. And then I try to create memes. So it doesn't really matter, right? The product shot doesn't matter when it's a meme. So it was really quick. And the onboarding was really smooth.
Beautiful.
I was up and running within days. And then obviously you learn about the platform, but it's really incredible.
And how long has this been ongoing? Working with
I think it's about 6 weeks now.
6 weeks, and you're happy with the result.
Yeah.
So let's first of all share with us what are the names of your social media channels so that people can check the work of these agents.
Yeah. So if you go on my LinkedIn, you're going to see on my personal LinkedIn,
Karim Sahyoun.
Yeah. And you're going to see it on YounFit.
Which is
YOUN Fit, which is the page that I created for the gym bags. And on Instagram, also YounFit. YOUNFIT_.
Yeah.
And Facebook has a page. And TikTok now has a YounFit page as well, which I'd never posted on.
Yeah.
So now I'm able to post short videos.
There you go. So we plugged these for two reasons. One is to plug your channels, but two is to ask people to go and actually check the work of this, agentic social media team that have been creating your content, creating your copy, your images, posting, doing are they also doing the community engagement and community management, or is that you answering?
So there is a comment. There's an agent that does that will respond to comments. But I have to say, I'm not getting that many comments. So I'm continuously optimizing my content for better engagement. Some people are liking, but I'm still not getting comments. Maybe my message is too clear.
Yeah. Good problem to have.
again, it's I've been making these bags for 16 years. So it's a long journey.
Amazing.
Of trying to fix, a logistics issue.
Yes.
Of managing sweaty gear.
Yes.
And so there is a mission, there is a technical problem to fix. As an engineer, I wanted to fix that. And without going too much into it, it's the social media and the content marketing, the digital marketing has always been a challenge. And the biggest challenge, I have to say, that Sintra fixed for me, other than creating really good quality content, is that I'm able to explain technical things that are not so simple, and it will understand them. Whereas every time I've hired, and no discredit to anyone that's helped me in the past, because I've learned from all the people I've worked with, every time I get into the nerdy details of why my gym bags are designed in a certain way to fix certain quirky problems, they get lost, right? Okay. Because every human has an ability to absorb. And when you hire a freelancer to help you, they're only going to give you a certain amount of time. But Sintra has been able to understand those and has infused them into the campaigns. And that's what I'm most excited about.
Amazing. Amazing. I'm going to ask you about the impact of AI on your other businesses and ventures, especially the blockchain one. So we've talked about the YouFit and the gym bag business, but this is a small part of what you do. You're engaged in so many ventures. I think the most exciting and interesting one to me and to our audience is the tech business. You're involved in one of the most exciting blockchain projects, which is Apex Fusion. Tell us a little bit about what Apex Fusion is and what it does, and then we will talk about how AI can play a role in that.
Yeah, there's a couple of things. So Apex Fusion is a project I've been involved in for 2 years. Very proud of the work that the team's done in getting, basically it's a infrastructure interoperability play. We've built the superhighway between two silos in the blockchain world, between what's called UTXO and EVM. Without getting into the details, they weren't really served by a proper infrastructure, and now it's built. We've done it in 2 years. We've not spent that much money. And now we're kind of shifting into a phase of adoption. How do we now help enterprises and government leverage this tech stack and this interoperability infrastructure? So, and AI is playing a key role in that, because one of the, obviously blockchain was the hot topic a few years ago. I would say 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
And then suddenly AI has kind of taken over.
Yes.
And some of the use cases around blockchain did not deliver what they were meant to deliver. And we're going to have to go through other iterations until we get there. And we believe that Apex Fusion is an iteration that will take us to that stage.
Nice.
But the intersection of AI and blockchain is really interesting, because as we talk about agentic AI, these agents, as they become true agents and we empower them and we build them, they will need to have their ability to actually go and spend on our behalf, or get paid for the work that they've done. So we're going to build these agents and we're going to be able to outsource them at some point, or we're going to send them out to actually pay for things, book hotels, book cars, order food, order clothes, and do all these things. And they're only going to be able to do that through digital wallets. It's not going to be a credit card. It's going to be a digital wallet. So crypto is going to come back because of AI.
Yes.
So this is one thing. And then there's a couple of other less sexy, let's say, points about the intersection of AI and blockchain, and that it comes back to security. Where is that agent from? The identity of the agent. Tracking that identity on a blockchain is going to be critical, because if you're engaging with an agent or you're hiring an agent for your business, who actually built that agent? Who owns it?
The lineage.
Who owns it?
Yeah.
Is it a nefarious person? And what training data did it use?
Amazing.
So blockchain is going to allow all these things in AI to be much more secure and transparent.
Amazing.
And I always say it's transparency, traceability, and immutability are the three main things that blockchain does. And I'm going to inject something here quickly because I know that you have an audience in government. And I urge any government, especially governments that don't have the means, like some of our countries and countries where I've lived before, that if they're struggling to build systems because of the cost of data centers, and we are talking about cost every day in government circles, to think about outsourcing that infrastructure to blockchain.
Yes.
This infrastructure exists. It is affordable. It is secure. You're outsourcing the infrastructure to the nodes, to the blockchain. You're outsourcing a lot of the security to encryption. And you have that transparency, you have that traceability, and you have immutability.
Yes.
And if you play your cards right, and we're here to help, talk to us. We can help you build government systems that are much more affordable. Actually, you could distill it down to the cost of a decentralized app as an investment.
Brilliant.
Which is crazy. Because if you think about, even if you're not hosting in your own data center, even if you're going to rent a server in the cloud, the cost of securing that server runs in hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
Absolutely.
So that's one plug I wanted to plug, because I know that you have friends in that domain.
Too many gems in this last intervention. I want to unpack them one by one. So the first thing you mentioned is, or alluded to, is the agent economy. We are at the start of the era of the agent economy. Each agent soon will have its own wallet, because you don't want to give your AI agents your credit card to go and spend. So it's better and more it's more governable and compliant to assign a wallet to your agent and have it spend on your behalf with merchants, with other humans, but also with other agents. I know that the industry is now creating agent communication protocols like A2A and MCP. A2A is to agent communication, and MCP, Model Context Protocol, is agent to data or agent to resources or agent to website. And I think the best use case for the currency of an agent economy will be digital currency and not fiat currency. So that's fascinating. It's kind of good thing that digital currencies were invented, or crypto was invented and blockchain was invented before we got to agents, right?
Yeah, I mean that and often we build things, right? And we then discover that feature that we didn't expect to be the top feature to be the top feature. In the case of crypto, a lot of it is stablecoin. Nobody, and CZ said it recently, CZ Binance said nobody expected stablecoins to be as big as they are. And in fact, right now, they're the hottest topic in the regulation at the US government level. And one of the topics that I wanted to kind of cover about blockchain, and the one that I'm involved in, is the tokenization of real-world assets, or RWAs.
Yes.
This is, there's a report out, and we can share the link, a Kearney report, where it estimates in the Gulf tokenization to be a $500 billion industry.
Amazing.
So everything is being tokenized.
Yes.
And when we say tokenized, the first tokenized asset is the stablecoin, right?
Yeah.
Stablecoin is a tokenized dollar or a tokenized dirham, which is coming soon, apparently, from the central bank of the UAE. So tokenization of real world assets, including real estate, we see that happening with fractional real estate, being able to invest in a property just by buying a chunk of it.
Yes.
And then
UAE did that last year.
It's ongoing.
Yeah.
So there's a company that's doing that, and there's others joining. And it is really about allowing people to participate in the economy. So it brings that accessibility. You can't afford to buy a whole apartment, just buy a small part of it, and then you can benefit from the appreciation of the property or the yield on that asset.
So you're lowering the barrier of entry for people who want to invest in large real-world assets like land or buildings or... apartments.
And the last thing that I'll mention is that on a bigger front, so for investments, so a lot of people have family offices, companies have and wealthy individuals that go and invest in projects, and private equity and others. Often those funds are locked in for years. If you tokenize those investments, you can have liquidity.
Yes.
You have the ability to get out of your investment by selling your assets, right? Even if the project hasn't yet delivered. So this is a big one.
It's a better capital allocation.
It is. It still has some rules. You still have to manage the marketplace. You have to create the marketplace as well for it. But it just makes it a bit less flexible. It makes it easier to raise funds as well.
Yes.
Right? All within a compliant framework.
Absolutely.
So we're still always mindful.
You have this, you can help this kind of clients, these family offices, these governments in Apex Fusion. You can help them with their tokenization of real-world asset initiatives.
So as an architect, I always try to stay technology agnostic.
Yes.
It means that Apex Fusion might not be the solution to all these, but we are equipped to advise. And Apex Fusion may be one of the solutions, but we never start with that premise.
Yes.
We always start with
what problem are we trying to solve?
Yes, what problem are we trying to solve, and try to be as technology agnostic as possible. It is really, really an issue where people start trying to solve a problem with the technology in mind, with a brand in mind.
Yeah.
We should always think from an architectural standpoint, what are we trying to do? What are the skills required? What are the, what's the business architecture look like before we decide what tools to use?
Absolutely. It's not about the tools, because as we always say, digital transformation is not a technology story. It's a business story. It's how you transform your business with technology tools. All right. So it's at this time of the podcast where we bring out Layla to participate. Layla, are you there?
I'm right here. Thanks for bringing me on. What's the hot topic we're diving into?
So first of all, I want you to welcome our friend Karim Sahyoun on the podcast.
Karim Sahyoun, welcome to the podcast. I'm Layla, and I've got my virtual seatbelt on.
Awesome. Layla, so the conversation today was about agentic AI and blockchain. So Karim is a technologist and a digital transformation expert, and he is working in both aspects of these two extremely hot technologies. He works in blockchain with Apex Fusion, but he also is most hands-on than anyone I know when it comes to trying agentic AI like OpenClaw. My question to you first, Layla. Do you see, where are the areas where you see agentic AI and blockchain working together and creating real use cases in the economy?
Well, when you mix agentic AI with blockchain, it's like giving a super smart AI a tamper-proof ledger. Imagine AI agents autonomously executing smart contracts. Think automated, trustworthy supply chains, or AI-driven decentralized finance. Basically, AI does the thinking, blockchain keeps it honest. Quite the power couple.
Awesome. These are some great insights. Now, I want you to ask Karim a question in this context.
Karim, since you're on the front lines of both, how do you see AI agents ensuring trust in blockchain ecosystems where human trust is traditionally a hurdle?
Well, very good question, Layla. I think that, the speed at which AI works and these agents, the amount of information that these agents accumulate, and we talked earlier about context pollution, it's really important to know what training data or what data the agents use to produce a document or to come to a certain conclusion. So having that traceability on a blockchain might be very, very comforting.
What do you think about that, Layla?
I think that's spot on. Traceability plus AI is a trust jackpot. It's like having a detective that never forgets. Only way faster and without the trench coat.
Awesome. Let's do it in reverse now. Karim, do you have a question for Layla?
Layla, I am an entrepreneur and I have a small business, and I'm continuously trying to think of better ways to engage with the community. What are the hottest trends to create content that is engaging these days?
Right now, people love authenticity and short form content. Think bite-sized videos on trending platforms or interactive Q&As. Oh, and don't forget a sprinkle of humor. It's the secret sauce.
Amazing. My assistant Layla, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Layla.
Thank you, Layla.
Thank you, Karim. And see you on the next one.